All right. Welcome to Talk TV Media Network. Welcome to our listening audience. Today is Thursday, the 26th of November 2021. To all our listeners out there, today is Politics, Talk TV Media Politics. There's a lot we have to talk about. To all our listeners out there today. So we have all our guys coming in to be able to be a part of the show. So wherever you are, we love for you to join us, share the discussions, share us on your various platforms. My name is Sam Gadu and my co-host, Joel. Welcome, man. See the other guy in the background. Maybe he's not ready to come up yet. Joel, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Welcome to the show, bro.
Thank you so much. Happy Thanksgiving. It's a hectic week. Moving up to now.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving to you guys too, man. What you eat? You had a big barbecue, a big turkey?
Yeah, I had some fried rice. I took a trip to Delaware, an hour 30 minutes drive with the family, and came back.
A Liberian man with his fried rice business. There you go. I know. Yeah, I had a big time too. A lot of family came around, turkeys, a lot of food to eat. But today, man, Mr. Fasa, what about you, man? Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to you too.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have limited time on this show. Our biggest enemy, as always, Talk TV Media is here to stay. We are the voice for the voiceless. We have a lot of political events to cover today, back home in Liberia as well. And on the list of what we'll be talking about for our listening audience will be Joseph M. Boakai, former vice president of Liberia, came to the U.S. and he stayed for some time, lobbied, and went back. Was his visit a success or a failure? We'd love to hear from you guys, even our listening audience out there. We'll also be talking about the certification of former Defense Minister of Liberia, Brownie Samuka. What's the status of it? What is the government doing? Is Lofa County going to be serving 9 years with no representation in the Senate? We want to know and we'd love to hear from our audience as well. We'll also be talking about mental health issues in Liberia. It is creating a very alarming problem and issues when it comes to mental health in the country in Liberia? Are there facilities in place? Or is the government attacking those issues? We'd love to hear from them as well, even from our panelists here for discussion. We also want to touch on the recent killings of people, shootout that took place in the country between the Liberia National Police and the Zogos. Zogos, for many of you who do not know, the Zogos criminals are the ones they term as Zogos in Liberia. So there was a serious gun battle that just took place recently, and that led to loss of lives. We want to get an update on that. Gentlemen, before we start, what you guys think about former president's visit to the U.S.? We saw how he was welcomed back into the country, by his supporters. And before we get into that, okay, let me get. Here comes our guest, our political guest on the show. Welcome, Mr. Leo. How are you?
I'm doing very well, sir. Thank you for having me. My apologies here for being a few minutes late. I had a little bit of technical difficulties here.
Well, better late than never, Leo is the current president of the Liberian Association in Canada. He's a humanitarian for you guys. And it is an honor to have you on the show with us.
Thank you. Thank you.
I was telling the rest of the audience we are touching topics. We will be discussing topics as I just listed. Joseph Mbwaka, former vice president, visit to the U.S. Was it a success or a failure? We'd love to talk about that. We want to find out as to what is the state of Brownie Samuka certification in Liberia. What is the government doing about it? We also will want to touch about mental health issue in the country. It's creating a serious alarm. Also, we would love to talk about the recent shootout that took place in the country between the police and the Zogos. So this is where you met us, Leo. So we will start with Leo, even though he's just coming. He's our guest on the show.
No problems.
We will definitely love to find out Joseph, his honorable former vice president visit to the U.S. What you guys think about? What do you think about his visit? Was it a success? Was it a failure? We saw a lot of his supporters welcoming him back into the country joyously, very, very much jubilant. But was the trip a success from your perspective?
Hey, I mean, that's an interesting question, right? And because the political sphere of our community and nation is so divided and divisive that one group of people can be calling something black and another group of people say they see it as white and another group of people say they see it as green, depending on where they're sitting. So you have this difficulty of getting, but a few things I will actually look at. Number one, I wouldn't call it a success or failure. I'll rather call it a missed opportunity. And I'll tell you why I actually say that. I see Vice President Mbwaka as someone who has the experience, for what he's given in his lifetime working in government, serving as vice president for the last 12 years, that to him or her who much is given, much is required, right? That's how I usually put it.
Right.
He has been given a lot in terms of what the opportunities that Liberia has given him to serve. So in my opinion, I treat him different from many other political leaders in the country in that regard. I think the trip to the U.S. was a missed opportunity to show the type of experience, dexterity, prestige, but seriousness that former Vice President Mbwaka brings to his quest to be president. I can understand in my mind how former Vice President Mbwaka would have been visiting the United States at this point in time, right, where the politics is so ratcheted up. Everybody's looking for something else. Everybody's trying to see who's different. We're all of us going in the CPP. And I didn't see any plan. I didn't see anything specific as to what is it that we were being given to diaspora Liberians to say, I've come to help you understand what will be different as a result of my engagement. I've come to take ownership of what we did for the last 12 years, both the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I think it's a missed opportunity because for me, I often say to people, I listen to people. I'm tired with visions, right? Anybody can go to bed tonight, wake up tomorrow morning with a vision to build the new executive mansion in Liberia. That's a vision. I'm not too interested. We've heard those many times. I'm interested in a plan, because a plan is a process that clearly outlines the steps that we'll be taking to achieve something. In my opinion, hey, I'm sure Vice President Walker may have re-engaged his base and energized them, but I'm still waiting for something as simple like a financial report from the party to understand how you people run the affairs. I'm still waiting for a roadmap to say why Joseph Boakai still wants to be president of the Republic of Liberia, and what is it that puts him above the fray. And my disappointment is, as former vice president, he should not be looking just like any other candidate. He actually supposed to be the one people are trying to undo, because he seems to be way ahead of the pack just because of his experience and his knowledge of the governing process.
Okay. What you guys take it from that? I will let you guys go. Any response to what he said so far?
I think Leo makes some salient points regarding the vice president visit. All right, although I will not agree with him entirely, but I think few things as I look at the vice president visit, one of the few things I think he tried to show there is that he has the stamina. That's one thing I'm trying to see there. I saw him visiting from here and there, going here and there. Some all have doubts about his ability and whether he. So I think one of the things I think his guys are trying to do, they're trying to show that Vice President Boakai has a stamina, because one of the criticism that he's faced with is the fact that they probably believe that he's in an advanced age and that he needs to leave the stage. But he came in, he was able to move from one state to another, trying to speak to his supporters. Now, I also agree with Leo that the political party, in terms of how they operate, they need to be able to show some examples. So, for example, I don't think it's only a unity party. I don't see most of, if not all of the political parties in Liberia not really being accountable. So, for example, under the elections law of Liberia, we need to be hearing about their own fiscal, the money, what money they are receiving, how they are spending their money, their resources. And the reason why that is important is because political party is a government waiting. Now, if you are not doing that, if that is not part of your behavior, then it becomes a problem. So I agree with him 100% that Ambassador Boakai, he needs to step up to the occasion. He needs to show, because one of the major things that is behind him is that he has integrity. So that means he needs to be thinking and making sure everything around him is squaring out, so that the integrity argument, that he's carrying, which a lot of people think that they need to, trust him, so people can be able to look deeper into it. So those are my responses.
But George, Leo is placing full responsibility on his integrity, which has to do with accounting, reporting, having a plan. Do you think that the UPP, the UP, which he heads, and the CPP, do you think that from their standpoint that there is any vision, there has been any accountability in any way whatsoever?
I don't really see a plan. So I think last time we talked about this. So for example, now it's always like Leo make a very point. The Ambassador Boakai and most of the Liberian politicians, all of the promises they make, they are not very new. All right. And I don't, for example, if you say you want to deal, for example, you want to build healthcare infrastructure in Liberia, you want to reshape the Liberian economy, I want to first see whether you understand what the situation is. What are your target numbers? What is the unemployment in the country? How do you plan? What are the innovative strategies you have in your mind? So, for example, can Ambassador Boakai tell me what's the employment situation in Liberia? Now, okay, people are unemployed. How many persons are unemployed? What are their ages? What is your plan? What's the blueprint to target that number? Set your target when I become president, because you have to be speaking in those terms so we can see that you really have a clear direction. But if you just say, okay, I will do this, I will do that, I will ensure this, it doesn't differentiate you. And I think that's where Leo is coming from. If I'm not misunderstanding where Leo is coming from.
Well, Mr. Fossa, come in. I'm gonna let you from this point.
Well, thank you very much. I know Leo is behind the camera. But first and foremost, I want to say, Leo, thank you for joining us. I'm also a opinion leader of the Liberian Staten Island LeBron Community Association in New York. I serve as chairman on the board of directors. And I know it's all LeBron affair here tonight. Sam is also president of Oklahoma LeBron Association. So I will agree, as Joel said rightly, partly with Leo. But to say that it was a missed opportunity, I would differ a little bit, because there were town hall meetings that were had. One was in Philadelphia by the former VP, and then another one was in what? In Minnesota. Of late, of all political leaders been visiting the U.S., he had the highest turnout. I agree, he's the highest up there, and I think during those town hall meetings, he proved that what people perceive him to be, as Joel rightly said, that this old man, 76 years old, he stood there for over 2 hours responding to questions. So that's not a missed opportunity. That has allayed the fear of some Liberian who felt that he's very old and he could not do the job. And the next thing was, he had the opportunity to go to what? To another states where he had made friends during his 12 years as VP. I remember the states where they are loading some medical equipment for his foundation. So I think he's trying to harness those contacts he used over the 12 years. I agree that the issue of accountability for Liberia is key, because that's where our country is today. Our people are not accountable. So you come to equity, it should come with clean hands. So I agree with you guys that they have to start showing us today where they are in terms of their books, telling us exactly how the party is operating, what is on the book, that when they get there tomorrow, indeed they will live up to the expectation of Liberian people.
Let me come in, and then Leo, I will let you just write in.
Yeah, okay.
For a second, because what I'm looking at is for our viewers out there. This is Talk TV Media Network. We are an independent network. We broadcast on all major platforms, and as well as in Liberia. Those of you watching this video here and after, share it on your various platforms. We'll highly appreciate it, because it is for your reason, for you, that we are here. I am trying to touch a little bit before Leo comes in on the issue of the missed opportunity. What was the major purpose of his visit to the U.S.? Because as a former president, vice president of the country, he has other contacts, and we never saw him even line himself up with government officials like senators. You know, instead we saw him with governors, but his past position that we see, don't you think that from that standpoint alone, that could be a missed opportunity? That he had a perfect time to connect with lawmakers. You know, that will be that shift the dynamics when it comes to politics in Liberia. Instead, we saw him loading containers. You know, it's just a question on the floor. And Leo, you can come in from there.
Yeah, I think I have something to say to that. But before I even say that, you know what's funny? I am actually a bit disappointed that you guys are buying into this politic. Well, oh, he had to prove that he got stamina. He's not, his age hasn't cutting over. Look, gentlemen, let's be honest here. But it's biology. Joseph Boakai is at that stage of his life where we don't expect him to have the same stamina like 20 years ago. That's just pure biology. And you buy into that means you are validating the discrimination and the criticism that people are just politically throwing at you with no substance. They're using it and you're taking the bait. Why should you be proving that Joseph Boakai got the stamina or whatever? You should be proving that Joseph Boakai have the transparency, the leadership skills, the ability. I don't care if Joseph Boakai can stand for 20 minutes or can only stand for 5 minutes. I don't care. I really care about whether he has the leadership ability, the plans in place to be able to deliver Liberia, the quality of decision making to select. Well, let me tell you something. Presidents don't.
No, Leo, sorry for interrupting. Which brings me to this point. Do age has anything to do with decision making? Because you see in the United States.
You just validated.
You're trying to dichotomize this two. I agree, the issue of biology and strength.
Yeah.
But do age has anything to do with decision making?
I would say no, but you are validating that argument now by saying the paper proved that you can stand up for 2 hours long. There are young people who are in their 40s that can stand for 30 minutes long, depending on what they're dealing with. Young people who are in health conditions that are not able to stay at an event for 3 hours. They don't have to be old. So when Joseph Boakai is at the age, we expect that he will have some challenges. That's normal. That is not abnormal.
Yeah, I think you make a very good point there. But I think you have to be also look at the fact that there are people who are looking at the health of the president. If you are electing a president, the health of that president become a very important thing to you. No matter what, even the president gets substance. If even the president has substance, even he have ideas, his health matters, because you do not want to elect a president in the middle of the way and you are having a crisis situation where you have to replace him with another president. So those are things that people also have to consider. So in my mind, for some people who may have that at the back of their mind, who saw him back and forth from one state to another, it suggests to them that at least his health is a little bit stronger than what they expected. I'm just saying, in politics, everything counts. You cannot discount the health of the candidate.
Let me just respond to that to tell you this.
Yeah.
That may be true in Western politics. How many times I hear somebody ask for the help? People are using this as a political tool. Let's be frank. When last you heard anybody have a serious debate about president's health? You know President Weah health? Not because he's younger mean he doesn't have bad health. You don't know that for a fact. Nobody scrutinizes those things. So people are taking a political shot at what they think is your weakest point. And what you do in politics is if it is not an issue, unless you are worried that there's a serious issue there. But if you're not worried, you deflect from it. Because what you've done, you've given your detractors more tools. Now, how will you deal with the issue that they say the Pape got heart pacer in your heart? And that is true, but that doesn't mean it diminishes his ability to be a leader. I'm just playing the devil's advocate here. But now how are you going to respond to that too? Now, okay, you've answered the question that Pape can stand for 2 hours. He can go for multiple events. He has the stamina. How are you going to say to now you're going to remove the pacer from your heart too to see whether he will still survive? You can do that. So you don't fall for these cheap traps. I think what the Unity Party should have been doing, first of all, should have made sure the former VP was surrounded by the quality of expertise. Former VP was surrounded by a bunch of amateurs in the United States. Bunch of people, some of them who had never organized a proper birthday party before. Those town halls were poorly organized. I attended the one in Minnesota. They started 3 hours late. Who does that? This is former vice president. Man, you get subjecting to that kind of ridicule. Professor Alare Topa came out to speak. He was just a Sahaba speaker. He spoke for almost 2 hours. The VP did not even speak for 30 minutes because of that. Who's organizing these things? I was there. Don't say they say. I was there. This is the former vice president, the pedigree with which he should be treated. That is not it. So if the VP is telling me the person who are the organizing committee chair is the biggest bully on Facebook, look, don't get me wrong. Anybody got the right to support the VP, right? They don't have to be morally upright. But for the VP to bring people to intentionally manage him, then there has to be some decision-making and leadership. You can bring bullies and people who are able to sit on Facebook and insult other women like Ellen Johnson Sirleaf down to insults that your late child will not listen to. People who will insult, he himself, Joseph Boakai, call him a propagandist, a tribalist, a good-for-nothing old man with nothing in him. And you want to support Ome Boakai, great. And you know that's your democratic choice to change your mind. But Ome Boakai cannot be showing a poor decision-making in leadership by bringing these very people who are amateurs, in my opinion.
So you're saying his alignment with all those individuals that you just talked about is evident of his decision abilities.
Yes, and it's evidence of his desperation as well, in my opinion.
If he can't manage that well and be able to even so more or less, this is a test for him, how he runs the CPP as chair and how he managed his campaign, if he's going to be able to run the country effectively.
That is exactly what I'm actually saying. And you saw why all of the things around him were just chaotic. Everything will leak. Every small discussion they had, boom, dropping in chat rooms all over the places. We saw what happened, the big blunder with George Lobo at the town hall in Minneapolis.
Right.
Because I'm not saying these guys should not support the VP, and some of these guys are great, right? They're smart in their own right. I'm not disagreeing with that. But for the pedigree of the vice president, you need professionals, seasoned professionals, especially for someone like him who served office for 12 years. And when he travels around the world, a vice president is always a vice president. His peers should see him as such. So that's why all the events were chaotic. They won in Philly, they won in Minnesota. I went to the event. The event should have started 4 p.m. You know when it started? Almost 7 o'clock.
Wow.
Let's
Ladies
be
and
honest,
gentlemen, this is what we're talking about. CPP, Joe Boakai, was his visit to the U.S. a success or a failure? We're going to move forward because we have quite a bit of topics. Now, since we're talking about Joe Boakai, let's look at the CPP itself. The conglomeration of the CPP. Is it a success? Is it going to survive? Because I know we've been pulling this out, show after show, week after week. But is CPP here to stay, or is it going to fall apart? If it will, what's causing the CPP? Is it because of power struggle? Where do you come in, Leo?
I think here is the thing. I don't think it's about two things are going to happen. I think the CPP will survive. And again, this is just my opinion. I may be proving wrong in the end, right? But I'm just giving you the reasons.
Yeah. Let's hear that.
I think it will survive. And I'll tell you why I think it will survive. And that's what one of the missed opportunities for former VP Joe Boakai. Joe Boakai became the CPP chair. The one thing everybody's worried about, even in the diaspora, what would become of the CPP? That's the one thing on everybody's lip when he came on this trip. Unfortunately, that issue was sidelined. That's the failure of leadership. If there was one robust plan and explanation Joe Boakai had for people in the diaspora, was to allay their worries. If United Party will lead the CPP, then let them know. And if you work to make it happen, then let them know. But let me tell you why I think it will survive. Number one, they've tied themselves in a bind that is going to make it difficult for them to leave, even with the problems that are happening. Because two things will happen. The Liberian people have made it very clear. They are not interested in this greed of opposition people running on their own and trying to win election. The Liberian people have made it very clear they are convinced that nobody can win an election in Liberia independently of themselves. You're going to have to need some type of alliance. That's why in December 2020 elections, the Liberian people showed up overwhelmingly for the CPP. And, in terms of the senatorial elections that were held.
Yeah.
Overwhelmingly. The moment they started having conflict and talking about splitting up in this gone-by election, you saw what happened? The Liberian people punished them. So at the same time they're having all this infighting, they are aware of the fears. But number two, because of money business, they don't have the money. Some of the parties in that, let me be frank, you left Torso and Torso. United Party does not have the financial firepower right now. And that was one of the Achilles heel that hunted Joe Boakai in 2017. He did not have the financial wherewithal to be able to have mounted the type of robust campaign that he needed to mount against George Weah at the time. So right now, it's at anybody's peril to be the first to jump out of the CPP. That is the reason why none of them want to leave. That's why all of the allegations that are being made. And I believe that will be the one thing that will hold them in.
So looking at his character and his integrity in the country, how long he served, you think the financial capital you just talked about, if you think they have that, do you think there's a way out?
If they have the financial capital,
because we're saying from other chat rooms, the reason why Cummings is doing what he's doing is because he has money.
Yeah,
and money is very significant when it comes to politics.
Yeah, except that even Cummings doesn't want to leave the CPP, even with his money as well. And people keep saying it's about numbers, it's about numbers. I agree to a certain extent that it's about numbers because to 2017, even former VP Joe Boakai could not get the numbers to win George Weah as much as he did well and came second. The trophy is not for those that did well. The trophy is for those who show up with the number to actually win. So in the end, regardless of the money situation, people are afraid of what the backlash may be from the Liberian people if you are seen as the one who broke the CPP because you walk away, what kind of punishment you are going to actually get. So because of that, they are all gauging the public perception. And the message couldn't have been clearer than this gone by election with the way all their candidates were shunned across the country because people have made it clear they are upset and angry with the infighting in the CPP and they don't believe any one of them by themselves. Even Vice President Joe Boakai with the numbers he had by himself cannot surmount the challenge you are going to have in facing George Weah as an incumbent. You cannot beat George Weah by yourself.
Yeah, it's very difficult to unseat a sitting president. So let me let you guys come in and respond.
Yeah, I think for me, I know that the CPP relationship will not hold. I've said it from the beginning, from the onset of that arrangement. I don't think the current crisis is going to be resolved. I think the different supporters, and because the two candidates, I don't think they're going to have a compromise. Ambassador Boakai wants to run. Cummings wants to run as president. And there are different supporters also want them to run separate, because many times these arrangements it's about jobs in Liberia. Many times about people getting cabinet jobs here and there, even when there is a need to compromise for people to look at their abilities and know their strengths and weaknesses and make a tough decision, not because of their personal gain, for the sake of the country. They wouldn't do it. So I don't believe that CPP is going to come back together. I just foresee a separated opposition going towards the election. And I agree with you. I've said that over and over, that it is more unlikely or very hard for anyone to win when you go as a fraction. The incumbent, for example, he's the major employer in the country. All right, he decides how the budget is run. He has a lot of influence on his side. And not only that, he's very popular as well. So if they go divided, I don't believe that either Ambassador Boakai or Cummins is going to really win George Weah if they go divided. I don't think so.
I just want to make just add up to what Joel said. I like to agree with Joel that the whole CPP is now toxic. The point where they have reached now, where claim and counterclaim over each other, somebody is claiming he's the best guy, they should give him an opportunity, while the others guys are saying, I have the number, I need an opportunity. And even the supporters have made it to come to a point that I don't think this marriage can no longer hold. Yeah. Leo will agree with me that if you're in a marriage that is so toxic, the best option for that marriage is to divorce. You don't want to be in that marriage because what? They say because of the children. And I know a divorce would be the best option, but can a divorce help you to win the presidency? That's the next question, which they need to figure out. That's not for me to tell them what to do. They can go out there and maybe consolidate with other political party and bring another group together. They can decide how they want to do. But for this marriage, cannot hold. I don't think it can hold. And I just want to go back to what Leo said.
Before
let's be fair to the VP.
So hold up. Before you go back, you've been saying this, and I want to pin you down a little bit on that. You say if a marriage, you are in a marriage and it doesn't hold, do you think divorce is the only remedy? Do you think divorce is the only answer? Way out?
If I'm in a marriage that's abusive, I cannot stay in that marriage because my happiness supersedes everything. An abusive marriage is not the best way to stay. An abusive marriage, I better live single than live in an abusive marriage. My parents in the past would decide, I'm going to stay in this marriage because of the children. No. Not in the Western world. Once you're not happy, don't compromise your happiness for anything. It can be a wife I have known for over 30 years. If I'm not happy, I better live single to be happy than stay in a marriage and not be happy. Happiness, I cannot compromise my happiness for anything.
Now go ahead.
Yep. So, which brings me to the next point where Leo said that the VP are not fair on the issue of how do the CPP hold. If you went to Minnesota, there was somebody who made a comment, called on the VP to divorce. And the VP still made his commitment that he's going to go back to Liberia to see how the CPP can work. VP knows for sure that this thing will not work. But he's not going to tell you up front. He's a politician. But he's going to do all the best he can to tell you that I made my attempt to make sure this thing work. But it's not working. It's not about time for me to go. But he's not going to say up to you up front that, hey, this thing I agree with you is not working. He's going to tell you for sure as a politician, I'm going back home. I've been knowing to solve problem. I'm going to solve this. That's the record he's breaking. So he's going to make an attempt, call the other brother. Hey, I'll call him. I try to see how we can work this out. But it's not working. So it's about time that we move on. That's just my point.
Yeah, thank you. But I just want to make a few things up quickly. Number one, you got talking like he's in the perfect world. You know how many people have stayed in bad and abusive marriages? Doesn't matter what you think their reason is. Doesn't matter how stupid you think they are. They decide to stay. So let's talk reality here, as if you don't know Liberian politicians. Let me tell you this today. Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf coalition she brought together, you thought that was a coalition? Some of the viciousness that were in that coalition with Vani Sherman and all the people, and you know what she did? She swallowed everything and pretended like she was in favor because she wanted to win until she won, and then she bit back. Eugene Nangme were in UP. Where did they plug Eugene Nangme from? Beltware. What they call Bagugbe GNN today, that Beltware walked out of CDC headquarters and they fought on the inside. But you know what Ellen always used to do? The one thing she did well, she knew what her angle was, so she remained there and decided that she would do what it takes to keep them there, even though she realized it was unrealistic. Let me tell you what happened to the CPP. I don't think people are also realizing the legal ramifications. The CPP registered as a political party. It did not register as a coalition. It registered with NEC. Also, Darius DeLong winning and all of the by-election they won. They didn't win it as Liberty Party. They won it as CPP, the political party. That's different than registering, as just a coalition amongst yourself. Which meant, and in the document we are seeing now that was sent to NEC that they are arguing, that document said any one of the parties who walk away shall not be allowed to field a candidate independently in the presidential elections. Right? That's what it says. And I'm not saying it. That is the document that NEC has. Now, whether that document can be changed or not, there's still legal arguments to that. It's possible, it's not possible, I don't know. But number 3, let me put it to you this way. People in the CPP, even Omen Bwaga, they're not crazy. Yes, the relationship is toxic. Yeah, everything it is what it is. But let me ask you something. The 2 most popular party, or 3 most popular party, right? The UP, Liberty Party, and ANC, right? ALP is the least of the 4. Let's be honest. Those are the 3 most popular parties. You really think Omen Bwaga doesn't think he needs ANC or he needs Liberty Party? He knows that if ANC cuts off from him in the second round, because guess what? Second round coming. You have to calculate for that. He knows he will be on a losing battle if you can't convince ANC. So here's what's going to happen. With all the hypocrisy that's going on, they are all going to stay there and play lukewarm shoulders. They're going to go to their primary, so there's nothing wrong with both of them wanting to be standard bearers. And they both have committed, by the way, on the record, that whoever wins the primary, Cummings has said it, that he will be obligated to support. Now, he may not support the way he's supposed to, because he may not be happy. But guess what? All of the other partisans or so, whoever wins the primary will have the leverage to go to those various parties and, and still be able to bring people over, because the assumption will be we are CPP. Because second round is coming, I keep reminding people, the CPP will hold stronger in the second round. Because whoever makes it to the second round, the opposition seems to be uniting against George Weah, not because they like each other. The unifying force for CPP, they're not CPP, that George Weah. Because of that, I think they will be prepared to swallow the bitter pills because of the unifying force that a second term of President Weah just made people here go. And because President Weah has proven that he can come after you. So all of you who after President Weah today, y'all know, if you lose, you're in the gutter. You're in the trenches, literally in his book. So I'm not saying it will be easy. I'm not saying it's not toxic. But I'm just telling you, people stay in toxic marriages because maybe the house that they really won't get in that time, or maybe they got a place to live if they leave the marriage. Or maybe they realize they will be on the losing angle. So they stay in those marriages sometimes for decades, only because of what the strategy is for what they think they're actually doing.
Wow.
I think here's one point here. I think Leo, you made one point, and I was just trying to take note of that. You see, there's a difference when you are an incumbent president and you are going into a coalition.
No, I said before she won. That was when she was running as a candidate.
Then when you are in the opposition. And the challenge here now, and I understand the legal implications you're talking about there, but I know that whatever contract they sign, they'll be challenged at the Supreme Court. I don't know whether they can bind themselves to that agreement, but I know that it will end up going to the Supreme Court if they decide to go their separate way. And I'm confident that at the end of the day, the possibility of them going their separate way is very likely. Now, Joe Bwaga have, like I said initially, the 2 groups have different interest. Cummings has his interest, what he wants to do. Bwaga has his interest, what he wants to do. They have different groups. All of the people that are around them have different interests. Because if you look at the debates between Bwaga and Cummings, to a greater extent, is being influenced by their various supporters. And I'm talking about those who hope to be maybe run as senators in the future, those who want to be cabinet ministers in the government.
Except that
so looking at all of those different areas, it is very unlikely that Cummings will want to give in, or that Bwaga will want to give in. I'm even doubting whether they are going to have a primary. I'm doubting whether there will be a possibility of having a primary.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Top TV Media Network. We are having serious discussions here today about the best interest, looking into the best interest of Liberia, Mama Liberia. And controls is Sam Gadu and our guest panelist, Leo Johnson from Canada, and Mr. Fasa and Joa Bimba. We will open the lines for you guys to call in, our listeners. And the number is on the screen. If you have any question or a comment to make, you have a minute or two. Call in at that number on the screen. The number is 539-525-1552. Gentlemen, I'm gonna take you guys to this topic that is so dear to my heart, because a lot is happening in the country, and since the war, mental health issue. Let's get away from that part of the politics, and really, I would love to, get to find out what your opinion is on this topic of mental health in Liberia. When you walk through the streets in Liberia, you see that there is a problem everywhere. Every market, Watersa, Newtown, Douala, these boys, young future leaders of Liberia, mental health issues, Zogos. The reason why they end up turning into Zogos is mental issues, drugs. Those of us that live here, that are fortunate to live in the Americas, we have seen that mental health is very, very key to every society here. We've seen how government has paid so much attention and invested so much money into mental health. But is this happening in Liberia? We see online, thanks to Senator Darius Dillon, who started, raising some awareness when it comes to that. But is that something enough? Where does the government stand? What are your opinions? We'd love to hear from you guys. The society that is not sound in the mind with drugs infestation. It's a problematic society. And we want these young men, these young women to rise up, to be able to, for the government to help them. Do we have institutions in place to help? What's your opinion? What do you guys know about mental health, especially in Liberia?
So let me just start. I used to work with the Department of Social Welfare before. Then it was Ministry of Health and Social Welfare. And I will be frank with you, when it comes to mental health, it's one of the neglected areas. Mental health is one of the neglected areas in Liberia, all right? And I remember then when I used to work with the department, at that time, there were several programs people tried to initiate. We set up clusters at the different areas, the different counties. The county health team tried to set up mental health areas. Nurses, I remember sometimes nurses were trained. The Grant Hospital that they have in Monrovia there, where you have is one single small hospital, there was some basic support given to it. But the donors themselves in Liberia, most of the healthcare programs are donor driven. And WHO, the World Health Organization, whether it's USAID, they have their own priority areas. And many times those priority areas, mental health is one of the least areas that attract funding. So that areas, for example, like child protection, you see the street children, you should not be having a lot of street children in Liberia, but it's not an area that donors are putting a lot of money in. All right. Mm-hmm. So mental health is the same. So the government herself needs to generate revenue to focus and say, okay, since we are getting donor support in other areas, let's make these areas our priority. So when we generate revenue, we make sure we target these programs and put a lot of resources, get a lot of the technical support, set up programs and services for these different mental health people. But you're not going to see that. So to be frank with you, it's a neglected area in the Liberia healthcare sector. They're talking about it, but not much attention is usually given to it, even at the national level. not much attention has been given to mental health. It's a crisis now.
Well, come in, Bill.
For me, I would say this. You know, we like to practice voodoo economics in Nigeria. No country with $500 million in the budget, even if nobody was stealing any money. I said this over and over, even nobody was corrupting any money. It's voodoo economics to believe you can even tackle the mental health challenge in Liberia with the entire budget. If you took the entire budget and destroy only our mental health, you might succeed in scratching the surface. Let me put it that way, right? So here's what I'm going to actually say to that. That's why I believe the 2023 election, the defining debate should be about this issue. Anybody that does not have a robust plan to show us as to the path we're dealing with this issue, forget it. You're not a serious presidential candidate, because there is no future for Liberia without the future of Zogos. Erase it. It doesn't exist. If we can figure out what to do with this, we're all going downhill. Let me tell you what is going on in Liberia. I wouldn't say we've neglected mental health. No, what we've done, we neglected the people who hold the very fabrics of our society. And that's not this westernized healthcare system that we organize. It is what I call customary setup in our society. Our people, what we like to call the native people, the country people who hold the fabrics and morals of our society. We've penalized them with these stupid westernized systems that we set up calling healthcare system, where we've come into our countries without figuring out how can we take the best practices we learn from here and try to see how best we can have it coexist, or if not, synchronize it with what we already had, because some of the systems we had in place traditionally were stronger than what we are bringing in terms of Western practices. Instead, we're trying to make Liberia America. Let me give you a simple example. In our villages, right? In our towns, you hardly saw things like this happening, despite the poverty our people had, because there was a strong moral fiber of what it took to bring out the family. There was a strong moral fiber of what it took to be a man or a woman and, to work hard, regardless of who you were. You come to what we've done with the healthcare system. We set up a westernized healthcare system. These people we're calling Zogos are not ex-combatants anymore. The ex-combatants are older people now, some of them have died. These are poverty Zogos. This is the outcome of extreme poverty. This has nothing to do with the ex-combatants from the war. So I keep telling people in Liberia, until we go back to our customary systems, until we start to show respect for the poor and descendant societies again, this is doomsday we are feeling. Liberia would never be America. You can learn all your education you want here. If you don't understand how to customize it to work with the settings we have in Liberia, it will never work. And why do I say that? People say, oh, the poor and descendant society are way back thing. And then what they say also, oh, female genital mutilation. Let me tell you something today. You take your entire culture and decide to throw it through the window because of one negative thing that was found. Your attitude is not to say, how do we sit down and develop our culture? How do we sit down and help deal with the negative things to change it? You throw your whole culture. The Liberian Constitution says our legal system is a dual legal system. It's both the legal justice system and the customary law. Customary law is the country devil. That's what the Constitution of Liberia says. Then let me say it. But what have we done? We've gone to the countryside, demonized everybody, and sat in Monrovia and made justice for sale. How many people in Liberia can afford to pay for a court case for a lawyer to take you through the type of courts that we operate in Liberia? Police people and the law and order only works in urban areas. Why do you think the rest of the countryside is not in chaos? Why people not just killing each other, just murdering each other? It's because customary law is intact. So the sooner we can embrace ourselves, the road to dealing with this mental health issue is equipping, empowering, improving our traditional system so that where the healthcare system cannot stand, it buckles under, we will have these other external structures, because you know what? We've empowered them. I'm not saying they are perfect. I'm not saying they don't have problems, but neglecting it and thinking, even the United States that have a robust mental health care system, they're still struggling under the weight of it.
Sam, I believe the mental health issue is a major issue in our country. But first and foremost thing is our government trying to acknowledge that there's mental health. Because we got to first and foremost acknowledge that we got people who are going through these struggles. Let's assume because maybe they don't have a job, they are frustrated. You know how people get into mental health in this country. Maybe they went to war as a veteran and came back home, what they saw during the war in Iraq or somewhere else, or maybe back home for our people because of extreme poverty, as Leo rightly said. But have the government acknowledged that mental health do exist in our country? That's the first thing. Because if they do acknowledge that we have issue, people who facing this problem, then they will see what best they can do, at least put some money into the budget, even the legislature who are there, make sure that some allotment has been made. At least just let's start from somewhere. I agree that you cannot have $5 million to take care of the issue, but what are we doing to start creating awareness for mental health? And how can we tackle mental health? Which bring me to my second point of the shooting that happened at Douala, I think 2 days ago. They said they shot some Zogo and they killed them. These are Liberian citizens. My understanding, these people were throwing stones. How would somebody throw a stone and you use live bullets? You have 3 people dead. Those who were killed, whether Zogo or not, they are Liberians. Where is the riot gears? Where is the helmets? The government could not move him to subdue those people. And you have people killed. Even if you watch on social media, you have former warlords, former rebels marching in the major street of Douala with military uniform, which reflect back of what happened during the war. These were people who are out there killing people. So exactly we can say that these are the guys who went and killed those Zocos before police even came in. Police is scared. Where are we going? That was a misstep by the government. I believe those people who were killed shouldn't have been killed. It was a misstep from the government standpoint. Government got police, trained police who have riot gears, who are moving to subdue those guys to get them to where they are. No Liberian citizen should die for anything, whether criminal or not. If you're a criminal, you should be arrested and prosecuted under the law. There's no law that says that because you are a criminal, you should be shot at.
And the drugs infestation into the country, guys, with these boys and girls being on drugs, getting so high, and all of this stuff that is contributing to this problem. What do you guys got? It's so rampant. When I last visited and I went to Center Street, when you go to the graveyard, you see these boys and see what's happening. It's very, very sad to see what's happening into the country. And my take on that is, yes, Leo lay a very good path when it comes to the traditional customary part and then the government responsibility. But what is the government doing, gentlemen, to be able to at least, do something? And that is very, very key, because when it comes to elections, these are the people they want. These are the youngsters. A majority of the voting populace now in Liberia is young people. And if these are not young people that can make informed decisions, that's a problem. Educated decisions, that's a problem. If someone just gave you something you had, it's hard at that point to make a decision. So money comes to play a lot, giveaways comes to play like it normally happens during elections. So mental health is something, I think it's the responsibility, not just for the government. I think it's all of us responsibility as Liberians, both here in the diaspora and back home. If you can afford it, create institutions, because if we sit there, I think if we all sit there and wait on the government, there's not a whole lot that will be accomplished. So as a result, we all need to contribute, because it's like you're part of the family, right? You're part of the family, and in that family, there's a father. But if you're a son, you're a daughter in that family, you have a responsibility in that family. So sometimes we could say, George Weah. But what are we doing with our individual organizations to be able to help?
But Sam, let me make this clear. These same people are the people who voted.
Hold on, we got a call. Let's take this call, and we'll be able to continue on with the discussion. Hello, caller. Are you in there? Are you there?
Good Kumakaraka calling from Liberia. Yes, thank you very much for the time and the topic on the discussion. You people talking about mental health. Like, what is happening now in Liberia is like 5 years from now, I don't know if we'll have a youth in this country again. Because everyone looking at the seat of president, they want to make a difference until they be president in the country before they make a difference. The politicians that is here, what they do, they from taking like invest, gold, banga, bill, places, connect these children from the streets, let them there, teach them to do something with their hand, make them to be useful in the society, despite taking in drugs, but you make them feel important, make them feel part of the society. But for Liberia, it's just different. Everyone wants to be in government before they make a difference. We have people in this country that can even support these programs to do them. Take a challenge, do something. Try and do something, you will see that these children will leave the street, but no one wants to do it. Everything should be the government. So, like, the real problem is ourselves. Like, please help us so that the Lord can help answer our prayer, most especially with the parents looking at your child. The way you're looking at them to be useful in society, they turn out to be different thing. It's highly painful. It's painful. So I thank you very much for the discussion.
Thank you very much.
To take part.
Thank you very much.
Yes, Sam. I was saying that what you say is if those of us who have the opportunity of being in the West know what mental health is all about. If you have the opportunity to get back home to help our people, we should do. But equally so, the government have a responsibility to its people. That's why you got elected to what? Take care of your people, protect life and property. That's a responsibility of the government. We can do as individuals, but it's government responsibility. And the same government benefited from the same people. These were the people that wanted when they got elected. Yesterday, if you can remember, Finda Bono on Central Street and other places during the past by-election, when Senator DeLong got elected and she was dishing out money to Zogos because of what? Vote. If you can go to dish out money to Zogos because you need your vote, why can't you take that money and create a home, safe home for them, and have them be detox, give them a career, and reabsorb them into society? We can do the little we can, but the responsibility is the government. Let us not take the responsibility from the government. They got to start from somewhere. We can support as individuals. I'm not saying we cannot do that, but I don't care how much you can do. It's government responsibility. Let us not say that government cannot do it alone. We agree, but let government take the lead. And we will support the best we can do. Those who are in the diaspora and have the financial resources and can help what government is doing to buttress that.
But to buttress what Leo said earlier with regards to our national leaders, not just the government, but our national leaders, our political leaders that are vying for position of leadership. What are they doing as well? You know, what is our legislature doing? Our lawmakers? Because we are only hearing one voice. So far.
And Tim, just to add to this quickly, right? You can have your cake and eat it. We can say the government has failed, right? Flat, and that is true in many ways. But then at the same time, we say because of the government responsibility, let's just keep repeating it, and by repeating it will make them not fail. Let me put it this way. Many a times when we talk about the issue of mental health and this problem, we think it's a money problem. It's not a money problem. Even us in the diaspora here, we have the same problem. We can't even make our community here come to a community meeting while yelling at each other and fighting. We can produce simple financial reports so our community association in here, the BB1N. Let's talk so and talk so. You can give what you don't have. So when I sit in a Liberian diaspora, I tell people, let me tell you something. I sit here. All of us here, we work in professional institutions and different places that we go, our places of work, places of school, the engagements that we have. None of us have been able to build relationships and network to even benefit our Liberian community right here. Right here, you go to Liberian community events, you can see anywhere where we've branched out. to manage to break in here. You go to the Somali communities, you've seen that they've broken out in ways to draw in resources and revenues to their community. So what I'm saying about this is this: if the government has failed, and I agree, and we make that argument, not just the government, successive governments have failed. How come we're not holding our churches liable? The churches who run cathedrals on Sunday, they shut down the whole country. Everybody goes there and pour in their low coppers and money and offerings and whatever that is. But we say, no, you can't talk to the men of God. And these are the people traumatizing our people. They are contributing to the mental health crisis in the country by telling our people, you must come and fast for 40 days, 40 nights, and forget about your responsibility. God will answer you. God is not voodoo priest. I am a Christian. God is a practical God. If you give God nonsense, he will multiply your nonsense and give it right back to you. If you give God quality, regardless of how small that quality is, God will multiply that quality in a way that you yourself will not believe. So where are we not calling the people who are actually feeling the mental health crisis? Why are we only calling government? Where are the housing units for mental health people beside every church? That the command are God gave. Let the government are politics. The mosques, all of them. Because we can't chastise one side of our society. We need to bring the whole thing to bear. And those in the diaspora, we need to stop the big mouth. We haven't been able to make our own communities here. Yeah, the non-corruption within the government here works. The merit system here works. So we ain't got governance issues here. But we're still flunking at even supporting our children. When our children finish high school, we have BB party. They make a law, general say we're not expecting for them to finish high school. So at the end of the day, I don't think it's a money problem here. I think it's a hypocrisy that we are dealing with, a lack of accountability to ourselves. I agree the government has failed, but where is our accountability, not just to the government sector, to the religious sector as well, to the traditional sectors? All over here, we despise and undercut our traditional people. We abuse them, we insult them. But then we say there's mental health crisis, that the government responsibility. No, that all of us responsibility, and the government has a bigger role to play to lead. I agree. But if one sector fail and we hold it accountable, then let's hold all of it accountable as well.
I think the argument, no matter how we took it, and usually when we say government, I don't think it excludes every one of us, because whatever the government is, those who are elected in government, they are our representatives, and our actions as voters, how we hold them accountable, is important. So, for example, if you have a Zogo in your community back in Liberia, and your lawmaker is not doing the right thing, what are you telling your lawmaker? But we also have to understand that with leadership comes a lot of things that can follow. All right. Every Liberian have to do what you can to see how best the issue of mental health can be addressed. We can make our contributions, our private contributions. I agree with Leo. The issue of mental health in Liberia is all over. But we need to understand that Liberia is getting urbanized. The more Liberia get urbanized, the population is growing and everything, mental health is going to be an issue. It has to do with urbanization. The more we get urbanized, more poverty, more young people, economic challenges. So we have to see what we can do. Every Liberian has to do what we can, but the government has a bigger role to play in this. And I agree, whether it's the opposition politicians, whoever they are, they have a bigger role to play to provide the leadership that we need to get the country going. No excuse.
Ladies and gentlemen, mental health in Liberia, what is the way forward? And many of us are saying it is everyone's responsibility, not just the government. And I like to point that Leo as well mentioned our religious community involvement into that, which is very, very key. While he was talking about that, it led me to the scriptures that talked about if you lend unto the poor, you are lending unto the Lord. You know, so it doesn't say it's, you lend to the poor. It is everyone's responsibility. And if you lend unto the Lord, you know, there's assurance for you to reap more, that you're going to get payback. So this is where we come in when it comes to mental health in Liberia. These are our children. These are our parents, our fathers out there. We all need to pray and be very, very practical when it comes to helping the government move in the right direction to help our youth, the future leaders of tomorrow in Liberia. That leads me to our final point. I don't know, Leo just took up. I hope he comes back to finish this. We have about 10 minutes left. guys, to all our listeners out there, which has to do with a piece of information that I received yesterday with regards to former Defense Minister Brownie Samuka, a certification. And I've heard that there were Zoes and chiefs and traditional people in Lofa County at Lofa Bridge who were all out, display, full display, not letting people into Lofa and not letting Lofians leave until Brownie Samuka is certified senator. My question is, how long is the government going to wait? Lofa plays a very major role when it comes to decision making in the country. Lofa County feeds almost Liberia when it comes to food and all of that. And Lofa supposed to have a voice at the table. Look at the months that has gone and elapsed. Lofa still doesn't have a voice. What are Lofians doing? What is the government doing when it comes to this? This is a major issue. Is the government going to sit by and go full 9 years with no representation, as into the House?
Yeah, I think I want Joel to take up that. Let's look at the legal implication, Joel. You are a lawyer.
I think this is where we're having the clashes, and I think Leo made a very good point earlier. So, under the Liberian Constitution, it talks about respect for customary laws. Now, if you see the zones and the other people coming in, that's a clash, and that's one of the good points he made. And one of the reasons why the Law Reform Commission was established. The Law Reform Commission was established to be able to codify some of the customary laws to see how some of the issues can be addressed either through a customary means or addressed through another means. Now, for example, in countries like South Africa, they have customary law. In Nigeria, they get a customary code. And in those countries, they can make a decision. And that decision is, if you decide for the case to go through the customary code, that means it doesn't go to the Western code. If you decide for certain cases to go through the Western code, that means it doesn't go to the traditional codes. So with the Zoes trying to intervene, they are trying to use their own customary situation to intervene on the government. However, I read the opinion that was issued by the Supreme Court, and the opinion that was issued by the Supreme Court was sound. Now, except that the Supreme Court herself, the way they handled the ruling, if you want to penalize somebody, penalize the person. All right? If you want to penalize the person, don't penalize the person. Okay? Now, the money that they ask that needs to be paid, that money, Mr. Semukai and the other two co-defendants, they have to pay that money. They are to pay that money completely. All right? Now, if Mr. Semukai is now moving, is not taking his seat, he has been convicted, another group of people that's going to take a decision is the legislature. The Senate has the power to even vote, how they call him, Semukai out. They can get him out on their rules. I don't know what their ethic rules say, but they should have something there about people who are convicted. To be frank, Semukai is convicted as a criminal. That's just plain true. The only challenge here is in Liberia, the rule of law is selective, and because it's sometimes very selective, there are so many loopholes that it becomes very difficult to enforce law. So it's a big challenge, and I foresee a lot of dilemma. But I think Semukai either decide to resign, give the seat, and for the sake of the county, I think that's where he should show leadership too. You can't continue on creating a situation for the sake of, he cannot be the only man for Lofa County. The fact that you're having a challenge with the government and it becoming a problem for the sake of the county, you can let his seat go.
Yeah, you're talking about, hold on, guys.
Sam,
I'm just giving up. But this thing is political. From even the CPP is playing this. I mean, the leadership of George Weah is playing this. It's from the political standpoint. You see that, at first they requested that Semukai had to pay X amount of money, and that money was raised, and now something else comes up. Don't you think it's political?
No, before he comment, this is the same Supreme Court. Semukai was brought before them before elections, and declared Semukai to contest. At the same Supreme Court now denying Semukai not to take a seat. If they knew this case would have gone this way, why didn't they deny Samuka?
No, so here is what we need to understand. When a case is on appeal, the Supreme Court has no right to tell you that you can't run. And that's what people have to understand. So as far as the Supreme Court, they can make a decision. The Supreme Court it does not give what we call an advisory opinion. So if the Supreme Court is telling you, say, don't take your seat, I give you an advisory, that's not a function of the Supreme Court. The decision of whether or not Samuka should not run, it should be left with either election commission or the executive branch of government. So the Supreme Court, all they do is to render their opinion. Now, as far as that opinion is concerned, Samuka is to satisfy everything that is in that opinion before he takes his seat, meaning the money has to be paid completely. The Supreme Court is not to be making any arrangement, okay, Samuka, yeah, when you do this or no. When you are convicted, all the court do, they send you to the executive branch of government. The Department of Correction is not under the judicial branch of government. The Department of Correction is under the executive branch of government. So any pardon for Samuka, it should either come from the President of the Republic of Liberia, but the Supreme Court can do nothing else. Nothing else the Supreme Court can do about it because they have already run their decision. So it's only Joe Weir that can pardon him and say, okay, I forgive you or I don't forgive you. So what Joe Weir is doing now is they're just leaving the hang game. So they are using that as a political card.
But Joy, I don't know. I'm the role played by the traditional people, closing the bridge, not letting people into Lofa County. Was that a right decision? Because I think that was not appropriate. They will have put up their devils outside, maybe stage some awareness and call the government attention, then denying the free flow of other citizens into Lofa County. Don't you think that was too tough from the traditional people? Where police will come and maybe open up the road by force? Would that be because you hinder the free flow of other people?
I agree with you 100%. And the reason why that is happening is because, number one, the Supreme Court Supreme decision were not very firm. Samuka, you are guilty, go to jail, period. Samuka not to be out. Samuka and the order, they are not to be out. Go to jail and they fine, you pay the fine. Make a decision. But if you make a decision and leave Samuka out, Samuka is out talking as a convict. He created a political tension. You continue having the point tension. Nowhere around the world you find somebody convicted for stealing somebody's money or people pension money, and you find the person walking around the place. Do you ever see that? No Supreme Court around the world ever would do that. They will make a decision, and that decision is done, and the executive branch of government will have to take the president and carry the president to correction. But now, the executive branch of government in Liberia, they are not trying to go behind Samuka because I think they are also afraid that there are political repercussions. You see the point there? So it just leave the whole county in the disarray.
Yeah, so also if they are playing that much politics with Samuka's issue, they are playing with the lives of Lofians as well.
And this is why I'm saying Samuka needs to take a leadership step
at the table.
Yeah, Samuka now needs to take a leadership step. He's not the only person that can represent Lofa. And he needs to say, hey, for the sake of my county, I don't think my county should not be represented for 9 months, for 9 years. I understand what may have happened. I may have wrong and get going. Because the legislature to also act. They can also act. The legislature can remove, they have the right to remove, how they call it, Samuka. They can take action. But then the challenge here is some of the guys in the legislature have a close relationship with Samuka. You see that again? So they are not willing to take a decision.
What would be the reliance on the legislature to remove Samuka? Is it
because he's a member,
or is there a constitution? Well, because I know if to remove an elected official, it should be for a cause. What would be that cause?
No, if you are elected to the Senate have their own standing rules, all right? And that standing rules allow them to discipline members of the Senate. If you commit a crime, if you are involved in any other thing,
he's not even a member yet, though. How could they do that?
No, he's elect. Senator elect.
Yeah, but he has not been sworn, so he's not a member of the legislature.
Okay, so even if he's not a member of the legislature, they still have to take a decision. he has to take a decision. Either decide to relinquish the position, or they have to take a decision. To be frank, Samuel Kai, for me, I don't see the need why he will continue holding on. I agree the Liver County people elected him. They really want him. I understand all the political situation, but I don't think it shows that he also, love his county. I think it'll be more patriotic enough to let go and let peace prevail.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a Tough Talk at Talk TV Media Network. We bring political talk on every Friday at 5 p.m. here Central Standard Time in the U.S., and that is 11 p.m. Liberian time. We're about to let you go every Saturday at 12 noon Central Standard Time as well. We talk sports. It's Talk TV Sports. Sunday at 2 p.m. here in the U.S., we talk TV Sunday Gospel. It's all religious. And that is somewhere around 8 o'clock Liberian time as well. Every Wednesday, we talk business here at Talk TV, 12 noon, which is about 7, 8 o'clock Liberian time as well. So if you are in business, you are aspiring being in business, you want to learn a lot about business, the pitfalls, the shortcomings, and you want to learn from the best, this is where you can come in, ask your questions, your inquiries, and we'll find the best of solutions for you. Talk TV Media Network. Another segment we are planning on bringing out into the show will be Talk TV Media Health. Health is very key to your survival. There's no way we can do what we are doing if we are sick. So health is a key. Health in Liberia, here, health here in our various bodies. We bring in healthcare professionals to be able to discuss health when it comes to us as to our lives. So we love you because we are here because you are there, and we are that voice for the voiceless at Talk TV. Our time is fast spent, gentlemen. It's been heated. Leo, if you are still listening, thank you for coming on the show. And I know we didn't serve this discussion justice. We would love to bring you back for further discussions. We have a comment. Someone has just said, you are not fair to Samuka. How will you remember that he relinquished his seat? That is not duly his.
I think Joel need to take that. That's from Joel.
Well, looking at the time,
the
question came in late. We can let it go.
Yeah.
And be able to answer that next time. You want to say something quick with regards to that?
No, I just want to let the president know is that Samuel Kai is a convict. As a convict, it has a bearing on his serving a position. So on our laws, if you are a convict, you can at the same time be serving, represented in a senatorial position. So I understand the political situation, but I read the opinion. If you take people private money and you use it, you see the president tell you to use it. That's a problematic thing there. So I read the opinion. I don't think the Supreme Court did anything wrong, although the fact that they were not definite with their decision, that's the problem they created. They should have just been definite, get the man out of the place.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for today. We love you. We are very, very thankful for you all for being with us for this time and giving us the opportunity to be able to serve you. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow on this show. And Talk TV Media Network, we talk politics, we talk music, we talk sports, we talk health, we talk all of it here at Talk TV Media Network, because our desire is to make sure that the society we live in becomes a better one. And thanks, gentlemen, for the day. And to you, our listeners, we love you.
Thank you so much. Have a good night. From our end.